Very welcome. We are talking about how to build an effective security program with limited resources. Now, the word limited resources, I believe, is applicable to every possible company because whatever be the number of employees you are always limited with the resources. If we want to understand like why people think that the resources are limited, you will see that most of us think that the workforce or the human resource within the company, they are the weakest link for the organization as far as information security is concerned. So we have to deploy some people who are enforced with this responsibility to keep the majority of the workforce in discipline, and so that there is no security incident within the organization. However, as a CISO or as an IT head, if you use a simple technique tips, you will see that you will never face this problem of limited resource. If we deep dive into this, why we always are limited in the resource, we will see that we have a dedicated number of people whom we have deployed to keep the other people disciplined. So we never think of making everybody disciplined. So how do we make everybody disciplined? We have to give proper awareness training to these people, to my workforce, to make sure that everybody knows their roles, responsibilities, and authorities on what they should do and what they should not do to keep the security of that company, to maintain the security of the company. So instead of entrusting only a handful of people within the department to keep the security, to keep the organization secure, or to keep the other people disciplined, instead of following this approach, if we give proper awareness to the entire workforce and make them understand their role responsibility, then the responsibility of keeping the company secured will not be the job of a handful. It will be job of all the people within the organization. When we as auditor, we go to different companies and we ask them, where have you put your budget? We always see that the budget is in the technology. However, very few companies are there where the budget is also spent on the people. But when we come to security, we always talk about people, process, technology. Never technology, or technology, process, people. But when we start implementing security in an organization, then we only focus on technology, and very few cases we focus on the people. So if we focus on the people and we give them the proper awareness, the proper training during induction and year to year on a refresher training on cybersecurity, we will see that the weakest link, that the people, we always say that people are my weakest link, they become my strength and they become the strongest link within the organization. So the people who are aware, if we have a workforce where everybody is aware of their roles and responsibilities and the security do and don'ts, then they become my strongest line of defense. A human intelligence can never be replaced by a firewall. So we, instead of only putting the faith on the firewall or the DLP or the SOC SIEM or on IDS, IPS, antivirus, we must have some faith on the human intelligence, and we must focus that these people, do not treat them as dumb people, do not deploy people to keep these dumb people under control, but empower them with enough knowledge and awareness. So together, they became your strongest defense rather than the most weakest link within the organization. The second part, that when we go to an organization as an auditor, we see that many of the organization has given training, but this training is not relevant to the job that they are doing. So if you're a software development company, You do not need to tell the people that please do not store your password, please do not share your password, use complex part password. These are very elementary, and most likely year to year you have told them and they know this already. But if they're from a software department, you give them training on secure coding, on OWASP. If you are outsourcing to a vendor, then make sure that that vendor during employment, when you choose the vendor, you make sure that the vendor has good knowledge of OWASP. When you go to a procurement department, make sure that the department has good knowledge of third party, about business continuity of the vendors. They have a good knowledge of contracts. They have good knowledge of non-disclosure agreement. When you go to a finance department, make sure they have a good awareness and training on phishing, on call spoofing, on two-factor authentication, on how to secure their digital signature, on how to encrypt their confidential financial data. So these are the very specific awareness which they need to know when they go do their daily day-to-day job. If you go to the physical security department, you talk about them about the perimeter security, about the fire safety, about the different types of environmental threats. You can talk about like the people threat. You can talk about the health and safety. You can talk about the different types of threats like the bomb threats, riots. So that is what these people need to know. When I go to organization, I see that most of the organization, they do not at all give any training to the people. One, if they have given training to the people, is very generic, and they do not give specific training to the different workforce where they can apply this training and this knowledge and this awareness on a day-to-day basis. And third, if they have given a training to these people, they are not doing the evaluation. Very important that you evaluate after on post training. And fourth, if you are giving training to your workforce, if you are evaluating it, if you are doing it on a year-to-year basis, you make sure that this training is refreshed every year. You add a new component to that training, which talks about the new type of risk. If every person in the company is aware about risk management, then you will see that company will very less, there is a chance of getting into trouble. But on the contrary, most of the time we are seeing that people are the weakest link. Why? Because they are untrained, they have not been given awareness training, they are always treated as dumb people, while we are trying to deploy some additional people to keep the majority of these people under control. And these additional people, we always feel that they are never enough to keep the company secure. They are always, we have a resource constraint. So if you really want to avoid this resource constraint, make sure that you empower your entire workforce as if they're working as a team and they are the defense, they are your firewall, rather than treating them as the weakest link and having some additional resource to control these people. So that's it. I believe if you use this, you will see a drastic change in your cybersecurity readiness, your defense, your chances of getting into an incident will be very less. I'm talking not from the maker's point of view, but I'm talking from the checker's point of view, from the auditor's point of view. And I have seen case studies where people have used this and they have got much better in their cybersecurity readiness. So all the best to you people. Have a safe digital India. Thank you very much.
For more updates from CXO TV, please like and subscribe to our channel.